What is this whole thing about forgiveness that can be achieved through hypnosis?
Well, most people that come and see me, they may not come in and say, oh, I have a problem forgiving, because that's not what is presenting. As we call it, the presenting issue is usually maybe, either maybe too much drinking or smoking, even something simple that you say, what does that have to do with anything? But it's something that we're doing to ourselves, or even being stuck in life. Things are not moving, things are not happening. And again, I approach each client individually. I don't sit there and say, oh, I know exactly what's going on with this person. I learned that very early in what I do, that I never know what's going on. The person will tell me themselves. And that's where this part of grieving comes in, because or rather grieving, the forgiveness part comes in. Forgiving, why would we forgive if we're smoking or drinking or being stuck in life? Well, because what needs to be understood is, when we're hurting ourselves, if we're not flowing, if we're not flourishing, if we're not doing well in our life, it has nothing to do with love or money or other people. It has to do with us. We're blocking. And when we're blocking, a lot of times is we're somehow trying to punish ourselves in some way. And I mean, I know you know all about this. You've done your own studies in these fields. So um, let's see, how do we approach to make this understand why we would hurt ourselves? First of all, in hypnosis, we work with the unconscious, which is the whole idea, right? Because I usually ask people, when we make a decision in life, or every day actually, how do we make the decision? From the conscious or analytical mind, or from the unconscious, right? There are two parts of our brain that is functioning here. Most people want to go straight and say, oh, it's the analytical mind, right? The conscious mind that makes the decision. And I'm like, no, because if the analytical were to make the decision, then it would be easy. It would be black and white. You analyze it, you make the decision, boom, done. But obviously, that's not what happened, because someone who needs to quit smoking knows the smoking hurts your lungs, it does this, everything the smoker knows, and yet the person keeps smoking. So it's not the analytical mind. It is the unconscious, and the unconscious obviously is doing it to protect yourself. There is a protective mechanism going on there. The protective mechanism is then somehow trying to make you feel good about something that you're feeling bad about. And again, we're not aware of it. That's on the unconscious, right? So what could it be? Maybe it's some unhappiness. Maybe it's something that happened even oftentimes in childhood, right? Something that you feel guilty about that we ourselves may have done. Maybe we feel we weren't a good mother, a good father, or a good daughter. Maybe our parents were very strict and we felt like we never, ever could make our parents happy. And then what happens, go forward, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road, and things are not happening and we're hurting ourselves because we never feel satisfied, because you know what? Our parents never accepted us. And that begins to spin and spin, and that's where oftentimes then in hypnosis, we can figure out all those little triggers or whys and begin to work on letting them go and forgiving.
The upbringing years and that relationship with father and mother, it seems to me that have such an influence in the rest of your life that even this we carry upon ourselves so many things that we need to release. And by what you're saying, even those habits like smoking and drinking have a relationship with that stage in life.
It can, yes, because again, when I usually explain it, it's like, there's God and then our parents, right? I mean, they're right there when we're growing up, because these are two people that our whole life depends upon. Our happiness, our joy, our acceptance, our survival. And so we trust them. And what happens if there is a relationship that is not perfect, and nobody's perfect, but they're better or worse relationships. But if that relationship between parents and children is not good, then that they come down from the pedestal very quickly and very harsh. And so for a child to realize, hey, my parents are not perfect. My parents are not, they don't have all the answers. They don't have all the, they don't know everything. They are wrong. Usually they come down gradually as we grow up, but in dysfunctional families and things like that, it comes down so harsh that then we're left kind of like untrusting or insecure. And then obviously that then, snowballs as we go around, because we won't trust people. Um, Again, we recognize certain situations like they were in the pattern of our parents, and that is a big flag, again, unconsciously. And then we won't take any risks, because after all, look what happened with my parents. They didn't work out. They were always fighting, or how they treated one, or there's many different things, whether the parents were abusive or not, or just maybe too busy working and not there. Well, you can't rely on anybody. If my parents didn't, why could I trust anybody else? Eh,
So the question is, if for instance, my parents aren't alive, I still need to figure out a way to forgive all those situations, all those occurrences that happened during childhood. Uh, with hypnosis, I'm able to make that work inside and at least release myself from all those memories that might be disturbing my present.
yeah, because see, as they say, forgiveness is not never for the other person. The forgiveness is for ourselves, because um, forgiveness is not accepting what someone else did wrong as being right. Obviously, whoever it was, whatever it was, had to do, they thought they were doing right. Maybe through the years they realized they did wrong. Maybe not, but that's not up to us, because the truth is we can't do anything about that anyway. We couldn't do it then, we can't do it now. If it was something wrong, I mean, if there was truly a case of severe abuse or something, okay, that was wrong. But that person is going to have to deal with that on their own level. But if you come to do hypnosis and you realize this and you forgive, and again, when we're in hypnosis, we go into that unconscious. When we're in the unconscious, that's when we access that deeper level of realizing why and letting go. In that level, as you forgive yourself, then it's like in the karma. If you don't forgive, you're still linked with that situation, whatever it is. If you forgive, you are now saying, I'm letting it go. I'm no longer, I don't have anything to do with that anymore. I let it go. Um, as I say, Jesus said, love thy neighbor. He didn't say like your neighbor. So you don't have to like the person. Love just means don't hate. At least be neutral, so you don't create more. But when you let it go, that's what you do. Now you're let it go. The person has to deal with whatever he or she did. But you now are allowed to be free to now heal that. Because while you're still connected, you're never going to heal that. once you heal and you forgive yourself for having hated, having held, judgment, having held all these negative feelings towards someone or a situation, when you heal that, that heals you. When you heal that, you like passing it on. It's the ripple effect. Then others will also forgive you because, how often do we make mistakes too? We don't realize it. We don't know it. Sometimes we realize it way back later and you're like, wow, I should have done this different. Now what? Okay, well, then don't do it again. But you certainly hope that person can forgive you. So it goes around as you do it, it goes around as well. It's that ripple effect. We're all connected.
So how soon do you start seeing results? Is this something like as soon as you forgive yourself and others, things start changing, start happening?
I would say it can be instantly. One case I had that I remember, it was really interesting. This person knew quite a bit about hypnosis herself, and she had worked a little bit on herself. But it's better to work with someone else to go deeper. And there was always this lack of having, or she was looking for more appreciation from her father. Um, she always felt she didn't get enough or any approval from her father. I mean, there was a relationship and things, but she always felt she had not received that. She had not done a lot of studying. She had a good job, but nothing too grand. And she always felt that her father was not proud of her. So there were also weight issues involved, quite a bit of weight issues. And so we worked. And I remember that one session, um, we did the hypnosis. She was under, and she had a conversation with her father, who was still alive, but she let it all out. She talked to him, told him how she was hurt, how she wanted to let that go, that she always felt she wasn't good enough, whatever she had to say. Emotions, all kinds of things. That she was never appreciated. She was never once, because she was always heavy as a child, and whatever came up. We were done with the session. She left. And the next morning, I go into my office, open my emails, check my emails, and I had an email from her. And she says, I know this works quickly, but she says, the moment I got downstairs in my car, I had no sooner turned on the car to leave, my phone rings, and it was her father. And her father says, hey, you know what? I don't know. I was just thinking, and I don't think I've ever told you how proud I am of you in those words. So we're talking, this was an instant. She's like, I can't believe it. I have never, ever heard my father say this. So this person was spiritual. She knew what she was doing. The father wasn't. And yet the message gets there, you see.
You can call that a miracle.
I guess so, right? They're always around us. We just have to see them, don't they?
Mm-hmm. So we are live right now with Maria-Pilar Gonzalez. She is located in Miami, 8603 South Dixie Highway, Suite 217 in Pinecrest, Florida. She's the director of Beacon Hypnotherapy Institute. You can always call to make any consultation. Do you also get messages from other places, not just in Miami?
Yes, of course. I mean, I can be contacted through email or just phone calls. I've had actually call from someone booked an appointment from Austria, and this is a wonderful world of electronics. How people was coming on vacation, visit parents, but because I speak German, she was looking for someone with that connection, and across the ocean, the contact was there. So it's very interesting nowadays. We can obviously, I do life coaching, as you know, and So we can also do sessions online. I've worked with people in the islands, Bahama, Bermuda, all the way down in the islands where, traveling is not always possible. But we maybe had a session or two here in the office, and then we continue through the computer, the wonderful world.
So this reminds me a lot of the Hawaiian practice, no, the Ho'oponopono. Basically, you are working on your perceptions more than anything of whatever happened and your own interpretation. Um, Thus, also when you're mourning somebody, you are, you know, trying to come to terms with some relationship that was unfinished. No, can you like say that you are able to um, be at peace with somebody even if they leave soon? Do you think there's some sort of release in the I don't know pending karma there might be between you and them, things like that with hypnosis?
Well, because when we're here, as we're talking now, we're on this plane, right? There's place, there's distance, and there's space. When we go into hypnosis or we go in any meditative state into alpha and deeper states, now we're somewhere else. Here, there is no time or space. So we can go back and forward. So we connect with everything that is not physical. That's the universal consciousness. So with that, that's how this example I said earlier, that person got the message, obviously on another level, but it reached. It could take a little longer, depending on the person and the circumstances. But when we're grieving, whether it is grieving for a lost relationship, the breakup or something like that, or a parent or some, a partner or some sort, or whether we're grieving someone who died, that can be very harsh because grieving, I've seen grief being very harsh on people because all of a sudden they're angry with God that the loved one is gone and left them alone, especially when young children. It's unbelievable how young children, maybe now not as much, but years ago, when people passed away, grandparents, maybe even parents, nobody sat down in the family and explained to a child, okay, grandpa died and he died because this or that, never took that into consideration. So a child all of a sudden loves the grandpa a lot, and all of a sudden, grandpa is gone. And, maybe religion has taught the child that death is a punishment of some sort. And now he's like, why is God punishing my grandpa who was so good, who was so dear, who did all these wonderful things? And then there is anger. And the anger with God then obviously begins to extend further and further. It can be, oh, you see, if he took my grandma, maybe it was punishment upon myself. And then you hurt yourself. Again, it just works in so many different ways because when we feel bad, I mean, God is it. God, we're part of it. And then we don't believe in anything anymore. Who are we? What are we if we don't have any faith in something more than this now, right? It's quite depressing if you think that way, So I actually had that question when I was very young. I remember one time. And it was through a TV show that I was watching. I was quite young and it wasn't anything cruel, but someone died. And I remember sitting there wondering, oh my gosh, what are we? And I had this vision of Earth and then the cosmic, just the universe, all this darkness out there. We're like this tiny little speck on this big world. And I started crying and I went to my mother and asked her, where we go, what do we, my head I couldn't conceive. I don't know what my mother said. She obviously put me at peace. It never came up, but I obviously had questions very young. And when we can't deal with that, then what do we do? You know, then you go drink because you go drink to numb. that question, that feeling of where do I belong? What am I? Where am I going? There is no reason for this. Or do the drugs or do whatever else people do to cover that pain. It can go many ways. Cutting. Young people do the cutting, even grown people do cutting to cover that bigger pain that's deep inside.
Well, tell us a little bit about your daily routine. You will get how many clients, and does it varies in depending on the condition, on what they're looking through hypnosis? Sometimes
Yeah.
it will take more than just one session.
Yes, I mean, as I say, hypnosis is quick and faster than regular therapy or conventional therapy, but we don't do miracles. The miracles don't happen necessarily in one session. They can, but we certainly have to always do follow up. So ideally, I see people once a week. Um, Usually, there is an average of 6, 7, maybe 8 sessions. Again, and depends. People ask me on the first session, "Oh, how many will I need?" And it's like it's really difficult. And this is the answer. I say, well, you will see changes probably by the second or third session for sure. And then depending on how quickly that click happens within the person. No, how quickly you can go and understand and realize during the session what is going on and the openness, right? We can then go faster. Usually once a week, and then after a while, we might just extend it every 2 weeks and then fade it out. Some people like to come back maybe after 8 months or so and just do follow up here and there, a couple of sessions. And then, so they have me there on their phone just every so often. It's like, oh, I feel like I need a little follow up or a little, cleaning up again and focus again. And that helps because whatever you have already worked on, it's always stays because the changes you make is within you because you want it and it's your own unconscious mind which is programmed. Now it's a new habit, so it will stay there for good. It's not like it goes away. Sometimes we need a little reminder, a little push again, but that's about it. And it's very interesting how people, it's like, no, I know I need a little reminder, and we go there, we do a little work again. And sessions are between an hour and a half or so. I don't like to rush it because, again, these are things that you have to dwell. And once you're there somewhere, when you're realizing, when you're working on an issue, you're there, and you need to make sure you finish the whole process before you finish the session.
I assume after a session, things start happening or unfolding, maybe opening, maybe like a Pandora's box, and maybe during the next hours, you might get some insights or revelations, or even at sleep on that same day.
Well, exactly. Usually people start feeling very calm, which again, once you have achieved that calmness, your brain stops thinking so much. Now you have room for what? For realizations, right? For quiet, for still. That goes as far as you said, even at nights, because now your brain actually shuts down. Your unconscious keeps working, but now you're leaving room to connect with that higher self that is you. It's like in prayer, right? They say when you pray, stop asking, take a moment and be quiet. You have to listen to God to answer to you too, right? Mother Teresa used to say that. Um, and that's the same. That's really what it is. Stop thinking and asking so much, but be quiet, and then you can hear the answers. And that's what happens when we do hypnosis, right? Um, I've seen people just suddenly go home and say, wow, I just slept and I rested. I didn't feel lethargic, but I just, wow. And then the energies they get is new. The worries go away. So again, that puts you at a more quiet state, a calmer state. And it's a snowball effect now into the other direction, into healing, if you will, emotionally and otherwise. Maybe, again, if you're dealing with habits, if you're calmer, you will smoke a little less. When people come to quit smoking, again, here we go with forgiveness and all that. When we start working on this, sometimes I tell the person, look, let's work a little bit on your anxiety, on your tension, on what's going on, because it's like a pressure cooker. The smoking is that little vent on the top. If you stop that, it's going to explode. What we need to do is bring down the fire. And so we work a little bit on that. And once we've done a few sessions on that, the smoking already, the person stops smoking or smokes a lot less. And then letting it go is so much easier. Otherwise, I feel that they will go and look for another habit to let that steam out, right? Or other things will happen then on the person, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that they could change the cigarette to a big cigar, maybe tobacco.
Well, I have
uh,
had people call me and say, okay, I want to quit smoking, but I want to be able to smoke a cigar. And I'm like, it's like, oh, I want to lose weight, but I want to be able to eat the chocolate and I want the Reese's Pieces, but not the Hershey. It's like, no, that's not quite that way.
it would be a selective dismissal of no of things.
Yes.
Maria-Pilar, well, it's been always wonderful talking to you. I guess there are many new addictions, like for instance, no, the phone, electronics. You treat those as well?
Well, yes. And that is all the rave now, how wonderful I look, what I do, and that's a persona you're creating, but maybe your real persona is not that at all. So, how confident are you to step outside when you don't have that persona that you're now showing on your phone, right? So it's a very big identity crisis that young people go through for sure. you know there are these great wonderful chatters on the phone, but you meet them personally and they don't even know how to behave. And we need to understand that as wonderful as this media is, because look what we're doing, it's great, but
Thi-
balance, right?
This one is really personal. Can you affect on the eating behavior? I mean, can you make a child consider opening up to trying new flavors, like eating vegetables?
um
Of course, it takes the will of the kid to
i
at least
tried that
go under a hypnosis, right?
I tried that on my daughter when I first started taking the course. She was a little pickier on eating vegetables. So they were my guinea pigs. I would come home with new ways of hypnotizing and techniques, and they loved it. They would like, yes, yes, mommy, and they would sit down and do it. So I would do that, and I did one for my daughter eating more vegetables. And then she wouldn't let me hypnotize her anymore. And my husband asked her, he's like, why don't you want mommy to do that anymore? And she goes, because um, she makes me, she wants to make me do things or eat things that I don't want. So that was one of my big lessons way at the beginning. See, you can't make anybody do something that they don't want. And it's all on how you word it. So I learned not to tell her you want to eat more vegetables. You're going to eat your green vegetables, your beans, and this, and the Brussels sprouts, whatever. No, because in her mind, she doesn't like that. But you can then say you will eat healthier and better foods. Doesn't that sound better? It's like I will never tell someone you will never, ever, ever eat sweets again. I'm the first one that I don't want to give that up. I do like my ice cream. So, but you can say, you will now somehow you will change your attitude toward it. Why do you want all that sweet? That's another way to go. but you will allow yourself to choose healthier and better foods for you. I don't have to tell you to not eat something. As a matter of fact, in hypnosis, we don't use the word not, because the brain automatically goes, no, I don't want to hear that. The word, that's not acceptable. So there you go. There are other ways of going around that.
Always very affirmative, no,
Exactly.
and creative. They say it's not about quitting something, but creating a new goal, something to achieve that will take care of that, no,
Yeah.
addiction, so you can just focus on something else. It's complex, very complex, but that's how we are. And fortunately, there's people like you who can help us understand the world of the unconscious. So it's been another wonderful encounter, Maria-Pilar. We thank you for your time, and hopefully somebody, I mean, people will get a better idea, no, of what the hypnosis is all about. And fortunately, we have you as a member of our association, the IAAAM, and always willing to give us a little bit more insights on this wonderful practice. Again, Maria-Pilar Gonzalez is with Beacon Hypnotherapy. Her website is beaconhypnotherapy.com. Email mariapilar@beaconhypnotherapy.com. You can find her in all social media as Beacon Hypnotherapy. Again, thank you so much, Maria-Pilar. Have a wonderful week. Just making people have a better quality of life. Thanks so much.
Positive and looking forward, always up. Be well. Have a wonderful week, Kike, and all of you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. See you very, very soon.